Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Heart's Frontier. I'm Kate Graham. Welcome back if you are returning. And I'm going to let the Side Chicks group know. So if you don't know this already, I'm part of the Side Chick Collective. So if you go to Side Chicks Collective or Side Chick Collective over online, then you can. And you know what? I've got links shared in the things below, so you can see the Side Chicks Collective stuff. But I like to let the Facebook group know that we're here live. And, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I have some good news today. I'm on a podcast later this evening that I'm really excited about. It's called Casual Saints, which I don't know how I feel about being part of the Casual Saint Collective. It's a high honor. But no, I actually am really excited. Live readings on now. So if you are here, let me know that you are by leaving a comment so that I know the comments are working. I see little hearts. Yay, yay. I'm going to be talking about light work today. So we'll wait a few minutes and see if anyone else hops on. Light work is phase 3 of the Empath Energetics program. And the next and only round I'm doing this year, Alexandra, you made it. Okay, good. I'm glad. So the next round and only round that I'm going to be doing of Empath Energetics this year is starting May 1st, like the first week of May. And so people can sign up until the end of April, and that'll be it. So it's really interesting. I am wondering whether I'm actually going to be running it again at all. I would like to, but what I would like and what Spirit asks me to do are actually sometimes two different things, but it always works out for the better if I'm trusting my intuition, because I'm led to sort of, I had no idea that more was waiting, or there would be this other thing that I would be drawn towards. So if you were here for, or if you watched the shadow work reading and archetype chat that we had yesterday, I talked about archetype healing and how a lot of people can miss aspects of actually doing shadow work. So you can feel like you've identified the things that you do that are wrong, that aren't working for you, that are sabotaging you, or maybe that that are just showing off, parts of your insecurities, your fears, and things like that. But a lot of people, what they do is they sort of stop there. They stop at, well, I've identified it, so that means I'm aware of it. So that means it's either people will say that's a part of me, and so it's like their shadow is them, and then they're never free from it in their mind, or they'll say, that was enough, and then act like kind of, it's a tough realization sometimes to look at the things that are shadowy in ourselves, and the things that perhaps aren't ideal, I'm going to go live on Instagram. I just feel compelled to do that right now. So let's do this. Let's see if anyone's on Instagram. Light archetype readings and healing. Okay. Do I want to do this here? It's always a... Let's see. Okay. So we'll wait for Instagram to go live here. Hi, Instagram. I'm already live on YouTube, so you can follow me either place. But today I'm talking about light work and light healing. So if you missed the shadow work healing, that is actually on the YouTube. So you're going to have to go over there to catch that. And today we're talking light work. And like I was saying, light work and light archetype healing is phase 3 of the Empath Energetics program. And because shadow work comes before light work, often people will sort of say they get intimidated by shadow work, or they'll be like, ooh, I don't know. There's a lot of humor that goes into shadow work. There's a lot of like jokes about facing your shadow, I think. And people are like entirely unprepared for digging up their light and actually revealing their light to themselves. So what I've noticed with a lot of the folks taking empath energetics and who are highly sensitive, it's that light work is surprisingly more difficult. And the reason being, shadow work is often the aspects of yourself that you're already aware of, at least in some part of your mind, because it's the stuff that we carry guilt or disappointment or shame or frustration about. Maybe it's repeat patterns that we see that cause negative things to keep happening, in our lives. And it's sort of like our karmic responsibility. And with light work, so we're kind of already sort of aware of it. And it actually feels like a bit of a relief to release and to share those things that are shadowy within us. And what people don't realize is that to accept your light work and to step into deeper layers and expanded light, you actually end up needing to dig out the shadows that you weren't even really aware of, these things that were holding you back, because otherwise, naturally, our bodies and our minds and our spirits want to feel lighter. We want to feel as light as possible in highest sort of expansion, and we want to feel free, right? I talk a lot about energetic freedom. I just sent an email out about it this week, actually, to the folks who are on my subscriber list. And I'll maybe make this do not disturb, otherwise I'll get lots of notifications in as we're doing this live. Okay. And so with light work, we already cover month 1 and month 2, and then month 3, people are almost wanting it to feel a little bit more like joyful and exciting. And for some people it can be. So I'm not saying, oh, it's awful and everyone goes through a hard time, but I think it's interesting. It's surprising for a lot of people how challenging it actually can be to bring your light out. And that's because a lot of things in our external world sort of test and challenge us. And in order to share more light, you really do have to face those things that you're not even as consciously aware of, these shadows that you didn't even really know were there. And so that's my experience from now doing 4 rounds of empath energetics. That's what I've noticed. So anyways, that's kind of a weirdly ominous caveat to this, but I'm here to do light readings. And so just as I did yesterday and as I do through empath energetics, I'm going to pull my own card first. So I always share in empath energetics, I always share my own shadow cards, my own light cards, my own legacy cards for each round. We didn't do legacy for the first few rounds, so that's new, and I think it's so much better that we do. The program has just improved over time. So Alexandra, you're the only one on the YouTube right now, so let me know if you would like a light reading. I'm happy to pull you a card for the light that you are meant to bring into this world for yourself. So that's the distinction that I should explain that first too. The distinction that I make between shadow and light, and oh good, I'm glad someone's in this with me. The distinction I make between shadow and light and legacy. Okay, so shadow is, like I have already been explaining, and like you can watch on the YouTube if you missed that. And light work is more about the light within us. And so that's why it's so much more difficult for highly sensitive folks. And then it gets so much easier for legacy work, usually. Not always, everyone has their own journey, but usually it's a lot easier to step into legacy work because then it's thinking about what the world needs from you and what you're meant to bring out to the world. And that is so much easier for highly sensitive and empathic people to focus on, because we want to focus on everyone else's needs. And so it's like, wait, we're allowed to do that now? Yes. Once you come back to yourself, once you reclaim and you have more energy techniques and you've actually really gotten to the bottom of a lot of things that are going on, then it is time to share yourself out with the world. Once you've brought that light, oh, that's mine's really interesting. I'll share why after. Ooh, I really like that one for you too, Alexandra. I'm excited to read it for you. And I'm really glad that it came out. So I use this deck, the Caroline Myss Archetype cards. throughout Empath Energetics. The reason I like them is because they have a light attribute and a shadow attribute on every card. So it allows us to really see the whole dynamic within those two sides of a spectrum, right? I really enjoy that. Oh, it's 111 here. Love that. Okay, I'll share mine here. It's the Divine Child Divine. And this is really, it's actually really hitting me here today because I was feeling like I was taking myself a bit too seriously, actually. And I was also feeling a little bit disconnected in a sense. So I'll read what this says to show you what I mean. So the shadow attribute, I'll read the shadow attribute first and then the light. Shadow attribute is an inability to defend oneself against negative forces. And then the light attribute is innocence, purity, and redemption. And it suggests a special connection with the divine. And something that I have been denying myself of admitting is that I do have a really special connection with divine energy. I really like the idea of sharing to everybody that they can all access intuition and the spiritual realms and their own psychic awareness. I really like teaching that and role modeling that. And so I think in doing that, I've sort of behaved as though I'm not also special in the fact that, you know, my life brought me to these things in a rapid way, or that I've really, really actively pursued them. And therefore I do have some specialized skill. And at the same time too, this special connection with divine, it's something that I've had since I was really young. And if people, you know, this podcast that I'm going on later tonight, Casual Saints, if people ask me about like when I knew that I was here for a special mission, or when did I know I had spiritual interest or tendencies, I genuinely was trying to read the Bible when I was quite young. Like under 7, I was trying to read the Bible to try and understand the nature of life and death, because I didn't think that the explanations my parents were giving me were really matching what I was feeling and getting confused about. So I've really been spiritually pulled for like quite a long time, my whole life, really. And I had psychic dreams when I was a child as well. Also, my name literally means pure and innocent. And I've done a lot of reflecting in my adult life because there's been a lot of things that have happened in my life that have caused me to question how people would see that in me. So this Divine Child archetype card for me is quite interesting. And so, like I said, when you're doing light work, you're thinking about, okay, how much more could I then express this divine child, right? And so that's what I'll continue thinking about. And if you were taking Empath Energetics, we would talk about this and your other 3, because we do 4 at a time for each phase. We'd keep talking about those as a group throughout the rest of the month. And so it's a really special community because we all work together and learn from each other's own exploration in archetype healing. So archetype healing has been really, really pivotal for rerouting highly sensitive people to themselves, because it is really easy to, you know, tune into everyone else's expression of all of these same archetypes. You know, we all have everything within us. And so how do we know what we are individually expressing and what we're actually meant to be bringing out to the world? You know, so we get to that in legacy work. But my own divine child is something that totally deserves to be nurtured, that I desire to nurture as well. And innocence and purity and redemption. What about that like deep level of personal feeling of redemption? Or am I going to keep taking things seriously or putting pressures on myself, maybe my heart? Also, this is really interesting, but the sun is getting a lot lighter right now. I'm not going to adjust the lighting and things, but there's like this really light rain outside. And I've been really moved by sunshine with light rain as we've had it here. It's just a lot more rare, I think, from back home. We don't have that happen as often, but here it happens more regularly. And like I say as well, and then I'm going to get to your card, Alexandra. Anyone else who's watching on Instagram or on YouTube, let me know if you would like a light archetype reading. I'll be here for a little bit, so we'll see if anyone else wants one. So the other piece about doing this light work And this is obviously like a really abridged version. I just wanted to come and share, almost give you like mini empath energetic sessions to see, if people are finding this work interesting, then you might want to do the 4-month program with me. And again, this is going to be the only one that I do this year. I'm being pulled and called to creative ventures and stepping into my own divine light, and in bigger and deeper ways. So I think it's time that I share more of these teachings and lessons in a wider perspective, in a wider range, maybe. So I will be, working on that. So the other piece about doing light work is, like I said, looking at the deeper, darker shadows, maybe the things that we struggle to admit. And I think this inability to defend oneself against negative forces is really interesting. The shadow of having a lot of light is that negative forces come flying in, and I do struggle with the idea of defending myself against them, because to me, they are as they are, they will be there. And at the same time, it can be a lot of density for this, innocent and pure heart to work through. And so that would be, my focus now for the next week or two, as I'm reflecting on these 2 cards that we've done. This divine child and this inability to defend myself against negative forces, mixed with this personal redemption, innocence, and purity, and sort of nurturing that connection with the divine. So that's a really special card for me to get. Thank you for hearing that out. Now, Alexandra, let me pull yours. And then Instagram, we just have people hopping in and out. So we'll see if there's anyone else who needs a reading today. I know this is sort of interesting timing for most of the people that I know back home. So, Alexandra, yours is the Saboteur. Saboteur. The shadow attribute is inducing self-destructive behavior or the desire to undermine others. Sometimes when we can feel like we're getting sabotaged, it then becomes our sort of mission to subconsciously even try to sabotage others or put others in some place where they don't get ahead, because if you don't get to, then they shouldn't get to. And it's this natural thing that humans do, but it isn't good. It's not harm. It is kind of harmful. But the light attribute, okay, and you're like, okay, I want this to be a light reading, and you're telling me I have a saboteur. Like, how could that even be positive? That's why I said I was really excited that this card came out, actually. The light attribute is that your saboteur highlights your fear of self-empowerment and the changes that it would bring to your life. So when you notice the aspect of yourself that is either self-sabotaging or attempting to sabotage others in some way, it is waking you up to this level of self-empowerment that you haven't quite accessed. So it's almost like a barometer for hope or potential in your own self-empowerment. Oh, Alexandra, you're feeling this. I'm glad. You know what? I'm glad it came out for you, because some people, they wouldn't take that kind of thing well. I think it's amazing. I think this is also so true of what I know of your life, and how self-empowerment could be your life mission, which means you're going after it. It doesn't mean that it continues to evade you and stay in the distance as some idea. It means that your saboteur is here to support you changing your entire life and empowering yourself. That fear of yourself being empowered is the only thing that causes that sort of inner self-destructive behavior. So now you can forever look at your self-destructive behavior as a helpful tool. And I would say there's probably always something that is going on when you're leaning into that type of self-destructive or undermining others behavior. There's probably always something around that is telling you to get away from or change drastically something about your life. It's surprising sometimes, we'll feel as we're going through life that emotions just happen. They kind of just move through us and they don't really make any logical sense. But to our brains, they absolutely make logical sense. Because, there's some people who just completely flatline their emotions. I've been there before, where things are so overwhelming that I don't feel like I react to many things at all, right? And then there's other times where you're having so many feelings and so many emotions, it's almost like you think they're happening through you and without your knowledge, without your saying so, right? And so this idea of they're actually all useful, they're actually all telling you something. These emotions are signals. Your self-sabotaging behaviors are also signals. Your actions, your feelings, these are all signals of your belief systems. So if you know cognitive behavioral therapy, which is one of the aspects of this Empath Energetics program that I have developed, CBT concepts, it's thinking that your thoughts and your behaviors and your feelings all have this intrinsic link. Thoughts, feelings, behaviors. And what my belief is, and what I'm sure a lot of people would agree with, is that your deep subconscious beliefs inform all of those. And so it's almost like, you have the CBT triangle up here. Thoughts are connected to behaviors. Behaviors are connected to feelings, connected to thoughts, connected to behaviors, right? Everything is interrelated. And so, what they would say is if you can deal with one, then just deal with one aspect because it will affect the others. And so we try to manage or navigate whichever one feels most approachable. Underneath that, connecting all of them as if they're like a pyramid, are your deep subconscious beliefs. So in order to bring your own light out, you really need to look at what are the deep beliefs you have that are holding you back from your own self-empowerment. I have chills saying that because that is light work in and of itself, right? And this divine child that I received is also that. It's sort of this, if I continue to allow negative forces into my life, which, if I'm being clear, perhaps there is a part of me that accepts this as necessary, but perhaps it's not necessary as a part of my life. Perhaps that's just a way that I've been believing and therefore what I attract into my life. So it'll be a really interesting one for me to continue diving way deeper on that concept. I've gotten divine child before in empath energetics, but not in light work, I don't believe. And then saboteur for Alexandra. So if anyone has watched this in the replay and you're like envious that you didn't get your own reading, feel free to just book a free 15-minute with me. I'd be happy to get you started on this archetype healing and or talk about whether Empath Energetics round 5 is a good fit for you. So Empath Energetics round 5 is going to begin early May. So we've got a couple more weeks for people to sign up. And I did a journey earlier this week to connect to each of the people. So I'll start releasing those today, I promise, which is descriptions of, and you'll see graphics if you're on my Instagram or you're on my Facebook, you're going to see graphics of the types of people. Basically, I have like notes for each person. Oh, you're welcome. You're so welcome for the reading. So I have different descriptions for each person who is yet to join Empath Energetics round 5. And so I'm going to do basically like a call out to the world. Like, does this resonate with you? If this matches you, then it might be that you're a good fit for this program, or that you're meant to be in this next and final for this year round of Empath Energetics. And so if this is your first time hearing about Empath Energetics, you can take a look on my site below, but it is a really epic self-healing intuition development program, and it's an energy expansion space. So I hear a lot of people complain that they don't feel they have the energy to do their life mission, to do what they're here to do and what they want to do with their life. I built a whole program for highly sensitive people to get out of overwhelm, out of any victim mindsets that they have, and out of that habit of other people depleting their energy and holding themselves back from what they actually really are here to do in life. And it requires a lot of bravery and a lot of forward action. But it is, I think, some of the best work that you could do is your own self-healing. And so if it is something that is interesting to you, but you're not really sure if it's right, then I would encourage you to book a call with me, and you can see that down below. And I do a lot of other things as well, but really Empath Energetics is like the most potent, the highest way of working with me at this time. And I'll be developing some in-person intensives, but this is the Empath Energetics program is all online. So it's a perfect way to stay connected, get really in touch with yourself, come back to yourself. It weaves in, like I said, cognitive behavioral therapy, some positive psychology. It weaves in energy, understanding of frequency, emotional tools. It teaches chakras, pendulums, other intuition development techniques. So it's not just pendulum. We do readings, journeying, visualizations. I talk about the nervous system and relaxing the nervous system in healing. We do archetypal study, and it's a big part of things, as I just shared. We do the shadow and the light work. I talk about the healing process. We talk about empath triggers, troubleshooting some of your triggers of being a sensitive person. We do legacy work. I've developed a whole workbook for legacy work as well. There's a lot to it, and that's not even all. There's a lot of aspects that are covered in this program, so people can kind of pick and choose. And then the idea is that you're in 4 months of intensive work, and then it continues to pay off after time. So it's like after that time, as long as you continue using some of these tools, you're going to be able to focus on your own self-healing for hopefully your whole life. It benefits everyone when you role model being your highest, truest, most vibrant, authentic expression of yourself. We need more sensitive people in these places of power, and not in these places of depleted energy or lack or victim, or really just holding themselves back, even just being at a break-even neutral point. When you are a sensitive, caring, compassionate being, it's like kind of my mission to help these people who are similar, these intuitive, creative folk, expand much further past they even realize what is possible for them. Because I think we have a better world, and a more loving and a more compassionate world, when more sensitive people are feeling like themselves and feeling full of spirit and power. So that's my mission. That's what I love to do. If you are interested in doing more work on archetype healing, then feel free to check it out. And I'm looking forward to welcoming in the next cohort. I felt 7 people, so I'm really curious to connect to them. And so watch my Instagram and my Facebook, and you'll see. Maybe I'll end up posting it on YouTube as well in some way. But yeah, that's where you'll see first the next cohort, the next people, and these different signs and symbols that I received in this journey for each of them. So enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. I'll be back Saturday for sure to do open oracle readings, and you should see some videos from me in between that time as well. And so really looking forward to it. But Saturday will be open oracle readings, so happy to just answer questions. We'll just hang out. I'll probably talk about empath energetics because I love it so much. And wish me luck on this podcast I'm doing tonight, this Casual Saints podcast. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I really like podcasting. So if you know any podcasts you think that I would be a good fit for, you can also send me their way. Okay, well, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, Alexandra, for being here. Sending hearts to you as well. And for all the folks joining in on Instagram or watching later, thank you for watching. I know people end up watching these replays, and it's really nice to hear feedback from them and see that people enjoy watching me do my thing. I'm not always as loud as I am, now, and I'm really enjoying actually being more in my full vibrant force, practicing this. Okay, wishing you all well. Enjoy the rest of your days wherever you are.